In today's update, we are going to take an in-depth look at the current status of Australian skilled migration processing, with a particular focus on the Subclass 190 Skilled Nominated Visa and the Subclass 491 Skilled Work Regional Visa. Over the past several weeks, the Department of Home Affairs has been visibly accelerating its efforts to clear long-standing backlogs, and the patterns emerging from this activity provide some of the clearest signals yet about what applicants can expect going forward. Migration is often seen as a numbers game, but when you step back, you can see that the department's actions follow a structured logic, one that, when carefully observed, helps us predict the likely direction of processing in the near future. To begin with, let us reflect on what happened from the last week of August through the first week of September. During that period, the department's focus was squarely on the Subclass 190 visa stream. Applicants who had lodged their 190 applications between July and December 2023 began receiving Section 56 requests, commonly known as S56S. These requests for further information are often a sign that a file is nearing a decision, but updated documentation is required before it can be finalized. The activity during this period was not random. It was concentrated, consistent, and deliberate. DHA appeared to have made a conscious choice to allocate the bulk of its resources to this particular group. That meant case officers were steadily opening files lodged within a specific 6-month window, issuing requests, and moving cases forward. The result was a surge of momentum within the 190 stream, which many applicants had been anxiously waiting to see for months. At the same time, however, the Subclass 491 program experienced only a light trickle of grants. While this may have frustrated regional applicants, it also made the department's strategy obvious. With limited resources and a huge backlog, DHA decided to focus heavily on one stream at a time, rather than diluting its efforts across both. The lion's share of energy during that stretch went to the 190 program. From the second week of September, however, we saw a very clear shift. Almost overnight, the Department of Home Affairs turned its attention toward the Subclass 491 program. Applicants who had lodged between mid-July 2023 and mid-October 2023 began receiving S56 requests, marking the start of the next phase of backlog clearance. This was not an isolated or one-off occurrence. Just as the department had systematically worked through several months of 190 applications, it now seemed to be replicating the same pattern with the 491 stream. Files were being opened in chronological order, S56S were being issued in waves, and grants were following soon after. As of now, this trend continues. Based on what we are observing, it is very reasonable to expect that this structured rollout will soon extend through to December 2023 491 lodgements, and then beyond. One important point that often gets overlooked is that grants are being issued in parallel with these S56 requests. This is a key insight for applicants. The department is not pausing one stage of the process in order to focus exclusively on another. Instead, it is running two tracks simultaneously. While some applicants receive requests for updated documents, others in the very same cohort are receiving their final visa approvals. This dual-track approach shows a deliberate effort by DHA to maintain efficiency. It ensures that the pipeline does not become clogged at a single point, and it creates a steady stream of positive outcomes alongside requests for further information. For applicants, this means that even if you receive an S56, you are not necessarily facing a long, uncertain wait. Many are moving through the process more quickly than expected once those requirements are met. The type of request in an S56 also makes a huge difference to how quickly the final outcome is delivered. For many applicants, the most common requirement is a re-medical. Essentially, an updated health examination because the original medical results expired during the long waiting period. In these cases, once the medical clearance is uploaded, the turnaround from S56 to visa grant has been remarkably quick. Many applicants have reported decisions being finalized within a month of submission, sometimes even sooner. On the other hand, when the S56 includes requests for updated employment records, fresh police clearances, or additional character documents, the process naturally takes longer. These types of documents often require more time to collect, and they may also involve extra verification steps by the department. As a result, the timeline stretches beyond that initial 30-day expectation, sometimes by several weeks. This variation explains why some applicants see very rapid grants while others, lodged in the same period, are still waiting. This is precisely why one of the most practical strategies for applicants right now is to be proactive. If you have documents that are likely to be requested, such as updated police certificates, new employment records, or anything else that may have expired since you first lodged your application, it is wise to upload them before you even receive an S-56. Doing this places you ahead of the curve. When your case officer eventually opens your file, the evidence is already sitting there, ready for assessment. Instead of waiting weeks or months for you to respond to a request, they can move your case forward almost immediately. This proactive approach has already proven to significantly reduce waiting times for many applicants, particularly those who anticipated S-56 requests and prepared their documents early. Another area that often creates confusion is the processing time statistics published by DHA. These figures, which are regularly updated on the official website, are based on median times taken to finalize recent applications. At the moment, because the department is focusing on clearing cases lodged in 2023, many of which have been sitting in the system for over a year, the published statistics are naturally increasing. For example, when a large number of long-pending applications are suddenly finalized, the median processing time jumps up. This does not mean the department is slowing down. In fact, the opposite is true. Activity is accelerating, but the optics of the statistics make it appear otherwise. The encouraging news is that once the bulk of 2023 backlog cases are cleared, we should see the published processing times fall again. That will especially benefit those lodging newer applications, who are unlikely to wait as long. For applicants from 2022 and early 2023 who are still waiting without meaningful updates, the frustration is understandably even greater. Watching later lodgements receive S-56s and grants while their own files remain untouched has been a difficult experience for many. Unfortunately, there is no simple solution, but there are a couple of practical steps worth considering. The first is to contact the Department of Home Affairs directly and request an update on your application. While this does not guarantee action, it sometimes prompts a review. The second, and often more effective step, is to lodge a formal complaint with the Global Feedback Unit, commonly known as the GFU. The GFU is tasked with addressing issues raised by applicants, and while a complaint does not guarantee a faster outcome, it does bring visibility to long-pending cases. In some instances, this has resulted in renewed movement on stalled files. All of this is unfolding against the backdrop of Australia's official migration planning levels. Despite heated public debate, media coverage, and even protests urging the government to tighten migration, the actual planning levels for this program year remain identical to last year. There has been no reduction in the skilled migration intake. This is a critical point because it means that the overall number of skilled visas available, including both 190 and 491 categories, has not changed. For applicants, this provides a degree of certainty in an otherwise unpredictable environment. Regardless of political rhetoric or public opinion, the intake cap has not been lowered. The department continues to process applications within the same planning framework that was set previously. Based on the planning levels issued, and the current pace at which DHA is working through backlogs, it is reasonable to expect that applications lodged up until around April or May 2025 could come under review within this program year. This is a significant insight because it gives recent applicants a sense of when they might realistically see progress. If the current structured rollout continues, both 190 and 491 files lodged during that period should receive attention before the cycle ends. This projection is, of course, based on current trends and assumes no major policy shifts. However, the department's behavior so far has been consistent with this expectation. Unless there are dramatic changes in government policy, the processing horizon appears stable for the coming months. So what does all of this mean for applicants? Quite simply, the strategy remains clear. Stay proactive, stay patient, and stay prepared. Upload any likely required documents ahead of time, keep a close eye on updates, and be ready to respond quickly when your file is opened. Those who anticipate S-56 requests and prepare accordingly are in the best position to secure faster outcomes once their case is picked up by a case officer. To recap this landscape in simple terms. In late August and early September, DHA concentrated heavily on subclass 190 applicants lodged between July and December 2023, issuing Section 56 requests and moving those files forward. From the second week of September, attention shifted to Subclass 491, with S56S issued for applications lodged between mid-July and mid-October 2023, with December cases expected soon. Grants are being issued in parallel with S56S, with quicker outcomes for simple re-medical requests and slightly longer timelines for cases requiring employment or police documents. Processing times may appear longer as older files are cleared, but this is temporary and should ease once the backlog is reduced. For those still waiting from 2022 and early 2023, contacting DHA directly or lodging a GFU complaint remain possible steps. And most importantly, despite public and political debate, the migration planning levels have not changed from last year, ensuring intake stability. At the current pace, applications lodged up to April and May 2025 are expected to come under review this program year. In conclusion, the Department of Home Affairs is working through the 2023 backlog in a deliberate, structured way, alternating its focus between the 190 and 491 programs, and moving forward in steady phases. The broader context remains stable, intake numbers are unchanged, the planning levels are consistent, and DHA is executing its workload accordingly. For applicants, the best course of action is to stay informed, stay engaged, and stay ready. The department's direction is clear, and while the wait has been difficult, the opportunity for progress is now well within sight. Those who prepare early and remain patient are likely to be the ones who benefit most from the current momentum in Australia's skilled migration processing.